What is going on, everybody? I hope you're having a wonderful start to your week on this beautiful Monday. We had 4 days to get over the sting of the Vikings loss to the Rams, so that's all good. So we're gonna be in a cheery mood here and try to look forward with the best possible mindset. And what better way to kick off a week than with Jamie, co-host Jamie's birthday, 32 years old. Happy birthday, my man!
Thanks.
What is better than doing a live stream on your birthday? I can't name very many things.
To talk about the Vikings, I wish it was more about talking about how we are Super Bowl contenders like it was earlier in the season, and coming off of wins and not our first two losses of the season. But before going forward here, let me do some shout outs here. We got Skol Shred, our guy Joey in the building. It's been a minute, dude. I'm glad you made it. Of course, my guy Skol for Life Barber's in the building. We got our dude Adam in the building as well. Let's go. Happy birthday. Let's go. Appreciate you all. Not a huge fan of the Cowgirls. Yeah, nobody really likes them. I don't even know what's going on with them. They suck. But because it's my birthday, all that good. Hey, thanks, Lil. I see you in here. We are giving away one of the hats today. So hashtag Skol in the comments, like the video and subscribe. But get those hashtag Skols in the comments, giving away a hat. All that good stuff. But yeah, man, I guess let's just jump right in. We're not going to spend for this whole podcast isn't going to be just on this game. Obviously, that was 4 days ago. I do think to some extent it has to move on, but I do think that it's a good time we got to hit on it and we got to talk about it for sure. So Casey, I guess you start, man. What was your feelings about this game? Where are you at now? Obviously, as far as how we feel going forward, we'll talk about that in a little bit here. But yeah.
I mean, I think this was another one of those instances where this team shot themselves in the foot way too many times. I mean, honestly, the face mask the no call face mask at the end of the game wasn't talked about enough, mainly because I feel like there was a feeling around Vikings land that really didn't define the way this game went. What defined the way this game went was their inability to move the ball on offense consistently and their inability to get off the field on defense. And I mean, it all starts at the top. It all starts with coaching, because when it comes down to it, my biggest complaint and the thing that drove me absolutely mad was all the stupid pre-snap penalties. I mean, what they lead the league in pre-snap penalties this year so far? And I think I saw something from Purple Persuasion the other day that since Kevin O'Connell's got here, like we're top of the league in offensive penalties when it comes to the pre-snap stuff. Again, I mean, what does it all come down to? Is just laziness? Is it maybe, I know Purple for the Win thinks maybe it's just things are the scheme or the play calls are a little bit too complex. Maybe we need to dumb it down and simplify it a little bit. I don't know, but it all starts right there. The pre-snap penalties, because then you're starting yourself at 1st and 15, then you'll get a hold in there. Then you're at 1st and 20. It's just their inability to just play clean football was the most frustrating thing from Thursday night. I get it. You had a hard fought game against the Lions. 4 days, you got to go to LA and play the Rams, who, yes, as Joey said, yes, they got Puka. Yes, they got Cooper Kupp back. I get it. Those are two. I mean, Puka Nacua is probably one of the top receivers in football. Cooper Kupp, well, he's up there in age, is still a very savvy route runner. None of that can be used as an excuse. You gotta clean up the pre-snap procedural penalties. That, to me, that was the most frustrating thing about this game. And then the defense just unable to get off the field. Receivers running wide open middle of the field. We can't, no matter how much we blitz, how many guys we sent, we just couldn't get to Matt Stafford, who had an awful offensive line. So it all needs to start there, and that all starts with coaching. But I don't know. It's not. I mean, obviously not over yet. We're still 5-2. We're not in last place. Thank you, Tariq Stevenson, and thank you, Jaden Daniels. We're not in last. For last place in the division. But I mean, the vibes aren't as good as they were a couple weeks ago. And I mean, luckily there's 10 days to fix it. And yeah, that's kind of all I got to say about that. Just clean it up. Clean it up. That's the biggest thing. You got to be able to sustain drives on offense, and that hasn't been done enough, honestly, since probably the Houston game.
Yeah, and obviously you went through pretty much everything. I would say that's one thing people have been talking about is how it feels like from offensive standpoint that things start to fall apart after like the beginning scripted plays or whatever, which is fair, which is something I didn't really think about. Yeah, because when you're coming, we've started every single game pretty hot and obviously the second quarter woos big time, which a lot does come from the penalties and the pre-snap penalties. And does that come, like you said, does things get complicated there? Like, it is interesting that it's that significant of like a big issue, like going in the second quarter every single time, all of a sudden the penalties come. So like, what is that? Is it complicated? Too complicated? I don't know. But obviously, like, we have to figure that out. We can't be the most pre-snap penalized team in the entire NFL. And then not just on that side, on defense, it was terrible last game on third down. I would agree though, like the whole Puka Cup thing. Obviously, if we think we're competitor or contenders or whatever, which a lot of us at the very least thought that, but prior to these last couple games, maybe. But if we are, I get it. We want to play good teams. We should be able to beat teams with Cup and Puka either way. I still think that's terrible luck. If I'm Brian Flores, I wasn't expecting Puka. I mean, everybody always says, hey, you have to just plan for like they're playing or whatever. But I don't think anybody expected him to play. No. And not just that, is when he was in there, he was the main focus of that entire offense for them, and they were feeding him early, and he was absolutely destroying us. And that's what happened. The penalties, again, killer on defense, but we just could not really stop them towards the end there. And I would say, I mean, it's a little bit nerve-wracking, I guess, as far as like, how is this defense going to keep going? I know we're going to have games where we're looking pretty dominant or whatever, but so far, Brian Flores has just been outcoached by, I would say, two of the best offensive minds in the entire NFL, and Ben Johnson and Sean McVay. So that is a fair point, but he did get beat in those, and our defense has just been getting beat. Mm-hmm. And then offense, we just got to figure offense is like, it's the penalties. Like, if we don't have those penalties, I do think we have a different game, especially, for those second quarters, but those kill everything. And then of course, the Darrisaw injury is, I mean, almost doesn't get as big of a buzzkill as your left tackle going down with the injury. But I also want to say, regardless of whether or not should have got to the point of the whole face mask thing, that was still complete bullshit. Oh, yeah. And you do ruin a chance of a team in the NFL and I've said this on Bleacher Report, but like every given Sunday, you can literally bring that down to like every single drive, every single play, every single snap. And we would have been 1st and 20. We had a shot to go down there and tie the game and bring it to overtime or whatever. Minute 30 seconds. Yes. Yeah. Odds were in our favor, but we've seen something like that happen often enough to know that it's definitely a possibility. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's how I am with that game specifically. Hey, FT Maddie in the building.
I guess my other concern as it comes to the defense, is Brian Flores a one-trick pony, right? I mean, because it definitely seems like, and we all knew that. He doesn't hide it. He likes to be aggressive. He likes to send the blitz. We get that. So I think it's partially that, like, because obviously they had a great plan. They knew we were going to come after him. We knew that their offensive line was struggling. So how do they defend that? Quick passes out to the flat with Puka and let him do what he does after the catch. Kind of doing that type of stuff all over the field. They got the run game going with Kyron Williams, and then eventually when you do decide to kind of drop up or send or drop your guys back and defend the middle of the field, that's when they started taking a couple shots down the field. And as the game went on, that ended up working out for him. So partially is it some of the scheming? Is it like, yes, we get the confusion on the pre-snap looks that Flores likes to give, but we blitz however many times, we could not get home against a bad offensive line. So I do think another part of it is personnel, right? I mean, because I think you and I both said this coming into the season. Yes, Gilmore was a huge bump at corner. Yes, Shaq Griffin was going to be a solid addition. Byron Murphy, not too great. But I think we both knew that if we couldn't get the pass rush going consistently, the corners we have aren't going to be able to cover really good receivers for that long. And that's kind of what it came down to, especially, as this game kind of wore on, is we kept trying to get home, couldn't get home. And our corners had to, and our older, veteran, older corners had to cover these young receivers for a little bit longer. And if you can't, and that's the whole thing with this type of scheme, is if you don't get home, this defense is not going to work because you have too many one-on-one coverages or some weak zones with not so many defenders in the defensive backfield. So I think that's kind of what this whole thing came down to, is just they like you said, it's coaching. Like Sean McVay knew what we were going to try to do, and he had an answer every time Flores tried to make a little adjustment here. So, and I think that's the thing. Now, as we kind of saw last year, Flores' defense had a good 4 to 5 week stretch, and then near the end of the season, completely fell off. So,
right,
is the tape is out there now? You're going. I mean, again, like you said, two of the top offensive minds in football the last couple weeks, but it's all out there now. It's out there on tape. Teams know how to go against the Brian Flores defense. So he needs to adjust. And I mean, maybe you do have to cool it with the blitzing all the time. Something needs to change though, because it's just the last couple weeks teams have been able to dice us up over the middle and in the run game. So and it doesn't get any easier. It does. I mean, Anthony Richardson, maybe Joe Flacco, depending on what they decide to do, but they have one of the top young running backs in the league as well with Jonathan Taylor. So hopefully, I mean, Flores gonna have to figure it out, man.
Yeah, I would say that's the hard part is like with Flores' defense, it is what it is. I mean, that's how he plays a game. Yeah, and he's going to have to figure something out. The reality is I still don't like, there's a lot of players I like on this team, but there's no defensive stars, like superstars. And I would say, I mean, Van Ginkel's been playing like a star when Cashman was in. Grenard, I mean, I would say he's been playing like a star. But in the secondary, Gilmore is 34 years old or whatever. So it's like, there's nothing. I mean, you got to bring the pressure somehow. I think you do need to blitz. And I think no matter what, if you're going to blitz, you got to get home. Otherwise that ruins the whole purpose of a blitz.
Well, that's his that's his defense. His defense is predicated on getting to the quarterback.
Right. And I mean, regardless if it's his defense or anybody's defense, like the blitz, if you can't get to the quarterback, it's like pointless or whatever. But in this defense specifically, and the players that we have in there, like you need to get to the quarterback. We don't have amazing coverage corners that are going to be able to, especially that they're older, cover all these young guys for too long. Like you have to get to I think the biggest problem isn't really his scheme as much as it's, again, the players on there and not being able to actually get home, which to me specifically comes from the middle of the defense, that defensive line, and not having anybody there that can bring any sort of pressure barely. I know Harrison Phillips does here and there, and he did miss one big, what would have should have been our one sack in this game, but we're just not getting constant pressure up the middle. I think that's a problem. It's always in the edge. We're getting the hurries. We're getting some pass rushers there. They're not coming home, but there's just every single time it's always coming from the sides of the quarterbacks. It's never coming from the middle. I think that's the biggest problem that we have here. And I know everybody, and this is something that everybody knows, that's our biggest issue.
Right.
And going into and those are the players that everybody wants in the NFL now. And going into this trade deadline, that's what most Viking fans want. But it's not that easy to go get one. So I don't know if we're going to. Obviously, we're going to dive into like whether we think we're going to be buyers at the trade deadline or whatever later in this stream. But I do think that's the biggest problem. I think Flores has to play his game. I think it's a similar thing as last year. I mean, there should be maybe some things he should do differently, but I just don't know if we have the personnel to really like become a cover team. If you're not blitzing and putting pass rushing on opposing offenses, then it's their wide offense and wide receivers versus us, which I think sometimes we can win those battles, but against a Lions offense and a Puka and Cup addition to a Rams offense, you're playing against two of the most dynamic, most difficult offenses in the entire NFL, which would make sense for anybody's defense, not just Flores' defense, to kind of look suspect in that situation. But against this Rams thing, the thing that was annoying is that we just could not get home when they had like two rookies on that offensive line and were considered one of the worst offensive lines coming into that game. So I don't know how we don't make that happen.
Right. And that was one of the things that frustrated me the most. And and then, I mean, and again, that's just a lot of that comes from McVay just knowing how to, go against the type of defense and obviously that's on the tape too, that, sure, they have a couple good edge rushers and the schemes are going to be creative, but if they don't get home, we have opportunities to beat them downfield. And they did that multiple times throughout the course of this game. So again, I mean, I think it's got to go hand in hand a little bit. Like Flores, I think there do need maybe some more slight in-game adjustments. But I think coming into this season, that was the big question. That was a big reason why people didn't think we'd win a lot of games, and B, why we were coming into the season like, we'll see how the defense is. I mean, they could be top 10, but there's a good chance that they could end up being just middle of the pack too, because yes, Flores got some of the guys he wanted. We were still really, really concerned, especially with some of the things that happened in the offseason. We're still really, really concerned about specifically middle of the defensive line and corner. And what do you know? Right. Those are the two biggest glaring weaknesses on this defense right now. Plus missing Blake Cashman. And, if you do want to talk about not blitzing and having your linebackers do some coverage, Ivan Pace, we love you, but he is not very good at that. That is not his game.
I know. Hopefully, obviously, rookie last year, undrafted free agent. Hopefully, he's a guy who continues to get better. He was solid last year. I mean, his PFF grade at least wasn't too terrible in coverage.
But at least when Cashman's back, you can trust Cashman to kind of be that guy there, then send Pace to do what Pace does best, not just be aggressive. So
and then hopefully, I mean, people are saying I think they said that they hope that Cashman's ready for Sunday's game or whatever.
He wasn't out there.
He didn't practice today.
Yeah, they did a little walkthrough thing today. But I mean, and I think Maddie's right. I think you do got. I mean, put Levi Drake Rodriguez in. Who cares? What's the worst?
Yeah, I know. That's at least try. We need something there. We need some sort of pass rush. I don't know, something. And the run game. That's the hard part. Is like we haven't been that bad against. Actually, we were the number one team against the run going into the Lions game. The reality, the Lions are the best running team in football, and they have pass catchers to complement that. But you can say that specifically with the Rams, with Kyron Williams, he is one of the better running backs in the NFL, even without Kupp and Puka. And then the fact that you have Puka and Kupp in that offense, that's going to be difficult. And they played well. They came in with these short passes to Puka and were just getting chunk yards on that, and then opened everything they needed up for Kyron. And it is what it is. And I think we have a solid run defense, but we don't have – the problem is it's just because of Brian Flores' defense, and he does bring a lot of people up to the line. But we don't got it just feels like we're kind of screwed a lot when we don't have an extra guy blitzing, when it's just like 3 or 4 guys on that line. Like we're not really gaining pressure. We don't really have a big guy. When Tamani, and he plays a little bit, I guess you have a big guy, but a big guy to stuff those runs without having, like, that's what it is. It really just feels like the defensive line. Like it'd be nice to get some pressures when we're not blitzing like a full-on blitz. But
yeah. And then I do think, who was it? I think it was Joey earlier who mentioned, and this, I mean, that's a big part of it too. Joey mentioned earlier that like the offense does at times seem too predictable. Like the big thing was with McVay, you can tell his game plan was against the Brian Flores defense, right? I feel like with O'Connell, we see just a lot of the same every week. Like this last week in the scripted play to start the game.
Yeah.
Yes, they force fed JJ, but you just didn't feel like they were attacking what was weak on this defense. You feel like it's a lot of the same. And again, like we just noticed again, first down run. You never really seem to have a flow or rhythm to the offense where you're using this play to set up this play a couple drives later. Like we never, there wasn't enough play action on first down when we run the ball first down consistently for the last few weeks. Like it just feels like with our offense, there's not, like, it's just not getting anywhere. It just feels like it's a bunch of just random plays tossed together and not really setting the defense up like you should do. So again, I trust Kevin O'Connell. Coming from McVay, we know he's a great offensive mind. We're just not seeing it consistently enough on the field. And again, does it come? And that's like we talked about with Flores. Is it the same thing with O'Connell in the offense? And mainly, as Maddie said, Darnold at quarterback, where yes, Darnold is playing much better than we all expected him to. Right? He's being safe with the football. He's making some big plays when he has to. And he's got a solid arm. We're seeing all the things that made him a number 3 pick, right? But you do feel like, and speaking of Jordan Addison, we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
If you talk to people who watch, get the all 22 and they watch all of it, it's out there that Addison's open quite often. It's just Darnold either just doesn't see him, doesn't look in his direction. Maybe they, with Addison missing some of those joint practices, maybe the connection just isn't there. But I do think a lot of it is Darnold, A, holds the ball too long, and B, I do think that he does like to just pick one receiver and go to that and kind of stare his receivers down. So,
yeah, facts.
Again, you're seeing what made Darnold the number 3 overall pick, but you're also seeing what is put Darnold on his 7th team or his 5th or 6th team in 7 years. Like he's playing better than expected, but there's just certain things that he's missing out there that would make a huge difference in some of these games.
Yeah, and to be fair to him, like he is 26 years old. He's young enough to now he's playing on his first team that he feels like is good. He's beating my expectations.
Right,
Even
yeah.
like this last game, even though he eyes down his first receiver too many times and doesn't do enough reads or whatever. Even with that, I'm like, he still is doing far better than I think I was expecting him to do. I mean, he's coming up when he has to. We're not losing games because of him at the very least. And you could say, I mean, I think he's definitely gives a boost to this offense in general to some extent. But they're like, I mean, even that play where he was able to get out of the pocket and we thought he should have ran, but ends up like that's a good quarterback move and then pitches it to Naylor, who just drops it. Too Smokey though, because that's another thing too, is I mean, start coaching to win. That's another thing that gets me again. And we're in the red zone and he runs it twice in a row. I get it. Like you need to bring the run game in here. The run game was working early.
The first run I get, because that was just the run that they were trying to make sure that.
Yeah, like you can run it on first down in some situations, but it's like when you need to win, you need to get points on the board. And in those moments are when we're seeing 2 runs in a row. And I mean, in a KOC's offense, in those scripted plays, there's a lot of times you don't even see 2 runs in a row from him the entire game, but now he's doing it. And you can just tell he's like, I don't know, he's just being too timid or careful, which I get as a head coach, but you got to have some balls sometimes. And if we're going to lose games by 1 point or if we're up by 1 point or we're down, and then that game we were down by 4, right? Yeah, I think we're down by 4. And then we kick a field goal instead of going with the 4th down. That's another one. So we ran the ball twice. We kick it on 4th down when we're down by 4. And then now we're just down by 1 with them having the ball back. And they've been getting down the field on us all game long. So to me, in my opinion, you go for that on 4th. You might miss it and we might be down by 4 still, but who cares? What's the difference? Like you're still down. If you kick a field goal, you're still down by 1. You still need to go. You need to stop them and get a field goal. But I don't know. That part irritates me as well. I get that from Young Smokey. With Darrisaw, I'm glad we're getting TJ back to Florida. And that's another thing. We are getting him back. And that's good. That can make a big difference in this offense and especially passes up the middle. Cause that's one thing that does bother me is we just don't do a lot of those, like even just little short passes, like what you saw with how they were able to attack our defense earlier in that game with Puka. We don't see that. I'm really glad we got Justin Jefferson involved, but we are not, and we're going to talk about Addison probably a little bit later, but we're not getting Addison. We're not drawing plays up for Addison at all. Like,
what I mean, but by drawing plays up for Jefferson, you shouldn't have to draw them up for Addison because Addison should be getting one-on-ones all day long, which again, I think he is.
Yeah, but still doesn't mean you shouldn't get the ball in his hands. You don't, I mean, it's obvious. That's the thing. Like, you need to compliment them both. Like, getting Justin Jefferson the ball is absolutely priority number 1. But if you're only getting Justin Jefferson trying to get him the ball, then that's going to be super obvious that you're going to try to get him the ball. When Addison is skillful enough, Addison has the skills to catch a screen and get some yards on there, and he's shown it. He's a shifty guy. I do think they're not doing any slant routes with Addison. I haven't seen a play made up for Addison. Like no way you make it, like no way you can, any way you turn it, it does it. I think if you have a playmaker on your team, you need to figure out ways to get the ball in his hands sometimes. So I mean,
but also it's supposed to be obvious that you're going to get Jefferson the ball, and that's what's going to open up the rest of the offense. Like it's supposed to be obvious that you're going to try to force feed the guy. But yeah, right. No, but again, and I think we're both, it's all in the same, right? I mean, it's just they're not really doing like they're not doing the type of thing that we saw the Rams do a bunch, where it's like quick drop back, toss it 3 yards over the linebacker, let your guy turn around, run for 2. You got 5-yard play right there, just.
You're not getting much of that at all.
No, not really. We're not getting any.
And that's what it is, like slants. We're not doing any slants. And not just with Justin Jefferson. Like Addison is more than capable of doing it. Addison isn't just a player that you use Justin Jefferson as a decoy to get Addison open. Like Addison has more skill than just that. And like you said before, I mean, it's not like, and people are showing pictures of Addison wide open and like screenshots and things
Right.
like
But
that.
that's why I wonder, is the trust not there because of with
And
Addison missing so much practice time? Like, is this him, and like, does Darnold just not have the trust in him at this point? Like that.
and it's like it's like a normal thing for a quarterback who's, not seasoned, I guess. I mean, Sam Darnold's been in the league for a
Yeah.
while, but just hasn't been on a good team, whatever, to kind of like, he has that one superstar guy and he has all the confidence in him or whatever. And there's a reality that Sam Darnold might not look enough around the field, whatever. It is what it is. I mean, he's like, I guess if you looked, Sam Darnold's been easily worth his $10 million.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Is he worth
Absolutely.
the $30 million that Baker Mayfield's getting paid? Probably not, right? With the way he's doing enough to not make us a bad offense overall, other than the inconsistency. That has nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
So I
mean,
don't
it's
know.
just,
I'm liking what we're seeing in Darnold for the most part, but
yep.
he's not like a superstar quarterback. He's not like,
Yeah, he doesn't have the processing speed of a superstar quarterback. Like you can just tell that it's not, he doesn't hit those reads quickly and make decisions. Like that's a big reason why he gets sacked so much, because he holds onto the ball for too long, because it just takes him too much time. And again, I think he's more of a get a guy to the spot and then get him the ball instead of anticipating where your receivers are going to be. So,
Right. Anyways, let's keep moving on here. So, because I would say we got to get it out. Like, we got to talk about the Rams game, and we had to talk about why it was not good. But it doesn't really. We're not coming from a place of this is how we feel like our season is for the rest of the season or whatever. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. But what were you gonna say? Maybe if I missed it, but
yeah, that's a good question. That's a good that is interesting. Because at first I'm just like, just put Quisenberry there and don't mess anything else up. Like, it kind of is what it is, and then maybe replace Reisner with Ingram when he's back. But now, I mean, I do kind of like the idea of just pushing Brando to left tackle, Reisner goes left guard, and then just keep the right side, the middle to right, the same. That means Ingram stays in, but I think that's the way you kind of shake things up the least. Because then at least you're not putting Reisner at a position he's never actually played before, and he's just stepping in at a place he's comfortable at left guard. So
right.
For me, it's one of those two. Either just put Quisenberry in at left, take Ingram out, and put Reisner in at right, or just go Brandel Ingram or Brandel Reisner, and then center to right's the same.
Yeah. Before I answer though, again, everybody, we're giving away the GG Sports Podcast hat. Get the hashtag Skol in the comments, like the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. But get those hashtag Skols in the comments. See, I'm different than that. I think I liked what I saw from Quisenberry during the preseason. Obviously, it wasn't great for him jumping right into that Rams game or whatever. But Ed Ingram, if you were asking me Quisenberry or Ed Ingram, I gotta go Quisenberry. So I need to get Ed Ingram off this offensive line. He's been the biggest issue on this offense this entire season. So I'm putting Quisenberry on left tackle. I'm not moving Brando, who has been playing guard throughout this entire season. I do think that's quite a bit change.
I mean, for him. He played left tackle for the first 2 years of his career plus college.
Right. But obviously has been playing guard regular, where Quisenberry's been a left tackle, whatever. Even though I'm not saying I could be wrong here, and maybe Brando go into the left thing. I just think Quisenberry on this offensive line instead of Ed Ingram, I think would be better. And then Reisner, obviously, I would have him take right guard, and then obviously O'Neal, and then Bradbury. It is what it is. It's not going to be great.
No, I mean, no matter what combination you go with, you're not replacing a Christian.
You're not. Yeah, you're just not. And it is what it is. And do I feel like we should I don't want to get too far ahead of here because we're going to get into this. I'm just going to jump into this stuff. We'll come back specifically about trade stuff in a bit here, but let's jump in to the Skol Gauntlet. And we got a couple topics that I think we'll get some thoughts in on some important stuff here. Oops, the wrong one there. All right, so we'll go through the top one. We got Game Ball, biggest loser, start and sit from this other game, or from just the Rams game. Sam Darnold report, panic, trade deadline, buyers, and we'll end it with Jordan Addison. So obviously, anybody that hasn't been here before, we do 30 seconds each to give our thoughts on each one of these topics, going one after another. And yeah. And then after this, we'll kind of dive in more into like the trade deadline stuff, how we feel about the season moving forward and all that stuff. But we'll go through this real quick.
Joey, by the way, if you don't end up winning one tonight, we are selling them $30 a pop. Let us know, email, social media, whatever. We Venmo, Cash App, however you want to do that. We'll make sure to get you one for sure.
We should 100% get OL defensive pass rusher corner at trade deadline. Yeah. All right, we'll go through it. Let me know when you're ready. Let's jump right in.
All right, I am ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
So something we've never actually done before. I'm giving my game ball to Justin Jefferson. I mean, obviously O'Connell schemed for him early. He started off hot. I don't have the exact numbers, but he was heavily involved in those first couple drives. That catch he had, that catch he had later on in the game was absolutely fantastic. Classic Justin Jefferson stuff. And of course, I mean, again, would have loved for him to keep getting involved because, again, even after those first couple of drives, they did kind of stop throwing the football. But Justin Jefferson is definitely what made this offense go for that first scripted portion of the game.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. It's got to be Justin Jefferson. I mean, nobody else really stood out, especially on offense. Aaron Jones did early, and then we couldn't really get anywhere with the run game towards the end there. Jonathan Grenard, I believe he still ended up with like a 90-something PFF grade, and he was still getting to the quarterback. He just wasn't actually coming home to him. He almost did that one time where somehow Matt Stafford was able to get under his arm and Phillips, and I was talking about that earlier, ended up scoring a touchdown. So Justin Jefferson there.
Yeah. Biggest loser. Again, hate to do it, but I got to go Kevin O'Connell. Again, you just felt like yes, the scripted plays were great, but the pre-snap penalties, the formation penalties, all this type of stuff does come down to coaching at the end of the day. Some of just the lulls in the offensive execution later on, which a big part of that did come from the play calling, I feel like. But yeah, I mean, you just felt like after the scripted portion of the game, that just this team they didn't have enough juice, and that all does come down to coaching.
Hey, we got to take a stop for this. Young Smokey, my guy with the 1999. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Next gen stats for you all prior to the Lions. Oh, probably have Casey read it.
Next gen stat for you all prior to the Lions games. We gave up -2 yards after contact. The Lions and Rams game, we're giving up 134 yards after contact. The league is figuring out Flores kind of. And again, is it Flores himself? Is it personnel? I think it's a little both. Yeah, I mean, but Flores is going to do Flores things.
Speaking of that, I'll jump right in here. And did you say Brian Flores on yours?
I said Kevin O'Connell.
I'm going to go Brian Flores. That defense did get absolutely destroyed. I don't know if Brian Flores wasn't expecting Puka there. I think teams are kind of figuring it out, but I do think it is a big personal factor as well. And I mean, that is big what Young Smokey said, but I mean, you allowed them to absolutely destroy our defense pretty much every drive. We could do nothing against them. We were a blitzing defense and you could not get home.
Start sit. I'm going to go sit first. I'm going to sit. Again, I know he had the interception. I'm sitting Byron Murphy. It's just there's too many things out there that he just misses. The holding penalty, again, did I necessarily think it was holding? No, but that was a big penalty to get in that spot. And we complain about the age of our corners. I get he's a rookie, but just get Dwight McGlothern some snaps. Why not? Put him out there, put him out there for 10% of the snaps. Just give him some run. You got to change it up at corner a little bit.
Yeah. And that's a great point. We talked about Byron Murphy a bunch of times throughout this whole thing. And yes, he had an interception. He has made some plays, but even on the really nice pass defense that he had, he got beat on that play and had to catch up to make it or whatever. So he's been easily the most suspect in the secondary. Like you said, get Nudie on there. But of course, like we've done every single week, I think it's time to replace Ed Ingram. We'll see what happens with that offensive line. Maybe that changes if Quessenberry gets destroyed at left tackle next week or on Sunday. We'll find out.
Sam Darnold, I think we kind of hit the nail on the head with Sam Darnold a little bit earlier. Still playing above my expectation, but I think we're finally starting to see why he's on his however many team in his 7-year career. It's like, again, I like what I'm seeing from him. I think he's doing a really, really good job. I think any question of him coming back here next year is pretty much, I mean, I don't think it was a big shot anyway. I do think it's out the window. I think just get through this season with Sam Darnold. Again, playing better than expected. He could still get this team to the playoffs for sure, but
yeah, just like you were saying, obviously you got it. Just like you were saying with Sam Darnold, we've talked about it. He's he is what he is. Like, he's already playing more than I was expecting. He's easily worth his 10-year, $1 million contract. Is he worth 30 million years? Probably not. Is he worth 20 million? Probably. He's only 26. He could get better, but he's a 1-year rental. As far as being in a situation to extend him, I don't think we're seeing that.
Panic, not yet, but it's one. I wouldn't say panic yet, but it is 100% fair to be very concerned with what we've seen the last couple of weeks. I mean, honestly, it's fair to be concerned with what we've seen going back to the second half of that Packers game. It's just we were so dominant on both sides of the ball the first few weeks,
right?
And since then, it's been a struggle. So panicking, no, but am I concerned? Yes, absolutely. I'm absolutely concerned that things maybe turning sideways here.
Yeah, panicking as far as like being a good team. No, I do think we are a good team. We've played against really good offenses. The Brian Flores defense thing is concerning from a standpoint of being a Super Bowl contender. I would say if that's what you're talking about, if that's like your ceiling of what this team can do, Super Bowl contender, I'd maybe be panicked to that point. But as far as like, I think we're going to go against these easy teams in this easy schedule and still look like one of the best teams in the NFL.
Trade deadline buyers, and I think it's kind of out there. It all depending on how. I mean, obviously with it being next week, depending on how this Colts game goes, it's going to be a big determining factor. I think had we won one of these last two games, I think a move may have been made already. I do think the front office is going to look here. If we win this game, you're sitting at 6-2. You're right in the thick of things. You still are in the thick of things. Then I do think they would end up being buyers at that point. And I think you got to go all in on either an elite corner or a defensive tackle.
Yeah, I definitely want to wait until after this Colts game. I still, in my head, like my heart hasn't been completely into this season. I would say, even though when we're playing well, and that's a big reason. It's just, there's something about me thinking that our window really starts next year. I'm all down to grab someone at the trade deadline, as long as it's not a rental and a guy that we keep, going into the future. But a big part comes to after this Colts game, I think.
Jordan Addison. Yes. So I think it's out there. Jordan Addison's open. Sam Darnold isn't getting him the ball. When I first saw his Instagram thing, no, I thought it was more of like the free him from being held down on this offense. I get it. He's a receiver. How do receivers get paid? They get catches and they get the ball. Then, I mean, do I think though the whole thing was just I've been using this catchphrase since college? No, it was poorly timed. He knew what he was doing. It's a little nudge at the coaching staff. Jordan Addison, he does need to get more involved, but don't be doing things on social media.
I'm gonna go a little bit opposite. I think you're right to some extent. I do think it was blown way out of proportion. Obviously, he has been doing that forever. It's not for sure like he's trying to be like, hey, I need the ball. Though, from his perspective, give him the damn ball. Like, I'd be pissed off if I was him too. He's a talented wide receiver, and you're not. And I'm speaking for myself. I'm not saying he's speaking for himself here. I do think he needs to get more touches, and we need to use him more.
Well, and we do, for sure. I mean, but again, with the last couple off seasons, he doesn't really have a leg to stand on about complaining about things. First off, I mean, he's let this team down multiple times.
Yeah, for sure.
But again, I know he's gonna. The thing was, it wasn't planned.
No,
but the thing was planned. Like, back what Herm Edwards said like a handful of years ago. Don't hit send. Like, there's no need to put that stuff on social media, because he damn well knew by putting that out there, he knew exactly what was going to happen. He knew it was going to bring up these conversations. Maybe it'll help. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Maybe he will get a few more targets thrown his way. Maybe Kevin O'Connell, Sam Darnold will make it a standpoint or a point to get him involved in the game more. But just, I don't like it. I don't like when these players do this type of shit on social media, knowing that it could very well be taken the way that it was taken. And
yeah,
for him to completely say, that's not how I meant it. Like, we're straight. Everything's fine. Like, no, it was,
but I'm not saying
it was a little tongue in cheek at the coaching staff to get him more involved.
I think I'm not convinced by that, because I don't know. I don't know for sure what the free. But because if that's like a catchphrase thing, I don't know what.
When's the last time he has used that catchphrase?
I don't even know. I don't think anybody else is looking for it. Maybe he uses it all the time, and nobody's looking for it because nobody's pointing that to. Obviously, if he has a bad game, let's say he posts that every single week, of course everyone's going to say anything when he's not getting the ball. I don't know. Maybe he is. I would say I think it's tough. Maybe you could be right here, and it was kind of a thing there, but it is a catchphrase, and it's something that he has used. I mean, he literally had probably like $100,000 necklace made with that specifically on there. I'm pretty sure it's probably a common thing in his life. So I do think it's I don't think it's fair to say for sure that was meant towards the coaching staff, especially since he's used that. I do agree. If it was that way, I don't think he should be saying that, even though I do believe he needs to be more involved in this offense, and not just because he's not open enough, because he's getting open and Sam Darnold just doesn't have that chemistry. It's Sam Darnold's job to create chemistry with wide receivers more than it is a wide receiver's job to create chemistry with Sam Darnold. And he's getting open, but not just that. You're just not getting the ball into Addison's hands. Last year, we saw it more. There needs to be some screens to Addison. I mean, he's a wide receiver that gains yards off of screens, and not just that, the slants, the outs, just all those little plays. I mean, there's no reason why we're not getting enough out of those. And obviously I'm a big Addison fan, but I do think it would be unfair to him just to automatically assume that it has to be a shot at them. And
but to post it after the circumstances of these last couple weeks, that to me,
but he could have posted it anytime. If he could have posted after doing good, and then no one would think anything about it.
Should we pull up the gram?
Yeah. What are you going to look at? How often has he used
the last time he has ever posted #free3 on anything?
I mean, he got $100,000 necklace. I'm just making that number up. I'm assuming it looked pretty flashy. So he's game wrecking. Yeah, dude. I know it's a boy. CJ. Jeffrey Simmons would be awesome. It just sounds like it's not going to happen. His giant necklace says, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like he uses that. It's a thing. It's a thing.
It's all timing though.
After you have to, but the timing just makes sense because of the situation. But doesn't mean, do you know what? I don't know, but do you know what free three even means? Like I don't even know what that even means. Like, when was the first time he used the words free three? I don't know. And does it even, I'm assuming it has nothing to do with like he needs to be more involved in this offense or some type of shit like that.
Well, I mean, I've heard that before, free whoever. Like, that's been something that's been said in the NFL before, and that's usually when someone isn't utilized properly. So saying like free.
So you're saying prior to going into the NFL, he felt like he needed to be utilized so often that he got a whole necklace.
Well, no,
there's got to be a deeper meaning,
but that hasn't been brought up in. He hasn't used that in forever. I mean, this is the first time we're hearing that he's ever done it before. I don't know.
Too evil. I'm on team. I don't know. I think you can't just assume that he did it because he's mad at how he is in this offense, even though
he's not. I mean, not necessarily for that reason, but it could have been a little like tongue-in-cheek nudge. Just
it could have been, or it could have not have been.
Do you think he could have foreseen this coming? He puts it on social media, and everyone's going to run with it, and it's going to get back.
Not if he's been using it all the time.
He hasn't been using it all the time. This is the first time we're hearing about it.
I mean, he has a necklace of it. That's not the first time.
When have we ever seen the necklace? Draft night.
I never even paid attention. I don't pay attention. I didn't know that he uses the free thing. I don't know how often he uses it.
We know he does because he wants
to. But he could. But to have a necklace that says free 3, I feel like, I don't know.
Okay, so yeah, that's his alibi.
Skol Mafia, let's go, dude. I appreciate you.
That's literally the alibi, because he knew if this came out, all he's had to say
could be right. You could be right.
See, it's nothing.
So he had a whole strategy with it.
Of course, of course he does, because it's probably going to work. Because now it's out there.
Well, it did. To be honest, it did work with Dobbs with the Packers. It did work with Dobbs with the Packers, screwing Jaden Reed out of any sort of production in that Packers offense. Dobbs gets suspended for a game and comes back and gets all Jaden Reed's targets. So it does work. So that's the problem. Yeah. But no, I'm not. I'm just on side. I'm not convinced that he was doing that on purpose and his tongue in cheek. I do think there's a possibility that you could be right. Because it does. I mean, what you say does make sense, but I also don't understand how often he uses this. And then the fact that it was on a necklace, it could be often, more often than probably either of us know, or not as often as either of us knows. But I do think regardless of that, and like you said, if he did mean it like that, and what everything he's done in these last couple of off seasons, I feel like he shouldn't be saying anything like that because he's been kind of a headache.
Whoa, Smokey with the 49.99.
Dang,
I think all
let's
of our problems are
go.
better.
Think of all our
KFC
problems would be
just
better.
soak some weed and calm down.
Tell some we didn't calm down, but on serious, there's no way. Dude, appreciate you so much, young Smokey. Sam seems like he might be someone that does smoke. He seems like he definitely might be smoking a J before the games. Let's go, dude. I appreciate you so much, Smokey.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Hey, rap in the building. Thank you. Anyways, let's keep on moving forward, though. We'll see what happens. I do think, regardless, I don't think he should say that, but I also think he should be more involved into this offense.
For sure. I mean, getting your playmakers the football, that is the one thing that is gonna make this offense be more consistent is involving more of your playmakers. Like, yes, I mean, yeah, Josh Oliver and Trent Sherfield score touchdowns, sure, but they're not going to do that consistently. Jordan Addison can do these things consistently. I mean, hence why he came off a 980 yard and 10 touchdown rookie season, right? So yes, like he has all the talent in the world. And I do think I think it's more likely.
Where you going, Sarah?
I think it's more likely Darnold, and honestly, I think it's mostly Darnold just not seeing him and not trusting him enough to get him the football, and that's something that he needs to do because, we know what Justin Jefferson can do. We also know what Addison can do, and Addison's a pretty damn good receiver. I mean, he had to step in, be wide receiver 1 for 5 weeks last year, and he had some clunkers, but he had some big time performances in there too. So. Trust him, and I agree with you. And all this to say, I 100% agree. Get the guy the football because he's gonna make things happen. And what happens if he starts catching the ball? Then you can't double cover You can't double cover JJ.
Thank you, Glenn.
And then what happens when you throw Hawkinson in there? You can't double cover them all, right? So
yeah.
So this next week, especially if Hawkinson's back, you gotta distribute the football to all of your playmakers, not just Justin Jefferson and Aaron Jones.
Yeah, 100%. And it'll be interesting. I mean, that's when Hawkinson comes in, we're going to have all types of plays made up for him. And which we need because we don't have that on our team. Like Hawkinson in the month role at this point seems like it's going to be an absolute game changer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because you're going to get so much more yards. And that's a reason why you shouldn't be too worried. I'm not worried about this season. Like I said earlier, like if it comes down to like, how am I feeling are we legit Super Bowl contenders? I'm not feeling that same way as we were before. I do think like you see how this defense gets beat by such good offenses in playoffs. You're against really good offenses. If we did make a trade for a guy in the middle of the offensive line or the defensive line, I think that would be significant in making our way towards actually being a real Super Bowl contender or having that type of defense. But I do not think we should do anything for your rentals. I get it. You don't have a lot of chances to be good and be in the Super Bowl window, but I do think we're in a situation that's really weird to say because it feels like we should only get better as the next few years progress. And that's assuming that JJ McCarthy is who we all want him to be. And I do think you have to focus on that. So if you are going to go out for a guy of that pedigree, I do think you got to make sure
so
that it's a guy that's either on a contract or whatever, but you really feel like it needs to be a defensive tackle. I think a cornerback isn't good enough right now. Like going to get a stud cornerback's not going to do enough for this defense. I think we need someone in the interior for sure.
So would you trade 2025, 2026 first rounders for Dexter Lawrence right now? And mind you, Dexter Lawrence is under contract. He has I think he has a 4 year. I think he has 3 years left on his 4-year deal. I would. Yeah,
probably. I mean, you're not the chances of getting one.
And that's that. Like, sure, then you can't draft a corner first round next year. I get that, but I would easily give up 2 first-round picks right now to get Dexter Lawrence, who it's not a rental. It's a guy who's he's 25 years old and he still has 3 years left on his contract. Like that's the type of player I would trade 2 first-round picks for. Plus, we know his impact. 8 sacks,
right. It'd be significant, especially for the next handful of years. The thing is I like Jaden Daniels a lot. And actually, I don't know if Rap's still in here. I need to get on one of Rap shows again, but
Rap, you're batting 500. Anthony Richardson is awful, but Jaden Daniels is really, really good.
And me and Rap did a whole not even highlight tape breakdown on Jaden Daniels and came away with him being an absolute stud. The reality with that is we couldn't even get Jaden Daniels if we wanted anyways. But I do like what we saw and heard and everything from JJ McCarthy. So I'm still on that JJ. Will JJ McCarthy be better than Jaden Daniels? I don't know. We didn't have even a chance for Jaden Daniels, but I do think JJ has a good chance of being a really good player. Though, and Laura or Quasi sucks at drafting anyways. F those picks. That's a reality thing. Cause I mean, everybody puts so much into first round picks, and I get it. They are really important. I mean, you can go get a Dexter Lawrence and then still have a first round picks, but the chances of you might have 3 first round picks in 3 seasons, and those 3 players combined isn't making as much impact as a Dexter Lawrence does.
Right.
So that's what, and I think people put way too much in, you don't see that in the NBA. You don't see that maybe the top 2 picks or something.
Yeah.
You don't see that in other sports. In NFL,
which
makes sense to some extent, but it's if you can get a guy that who's young and is a super stud, there's only so many Dexter Lawrences that ever come in the league ever. And if you're able to get him for 2 first round picks, I'd probably pull the trigger.
Yeah, and that's the balance, right? Because I mean, yes, and that's why they say you do need to build your teams through the draft. Because when you build your teams through the draft, you have that money to go spend on some big name free agents, right?
Yeah.
But that's why the draft is the ultimate lottery ticket. Because yes, right now, you take a Dexter Lawrence over 2 first round picks because, like you said, you know what Dexter Lawrence is. But what comes with the thing that comes with knowing what Dexter Lawrence is a guy who's being paid premium at his position, right? So that's kind of the way up. If you have a guy that can draft well, and I hate to bring it up, but the Lions, their GM, I mean, he's had a lot of top picks, but he's drafted really, really well, and that's how you can build a team in that way, because you're filling it up with cheap players who are impact players, but they're on their rookie contracts. Where a Dexter Lawrence is a proven commodity, but he comes with the price of a cap hit. So it's a balance. But I would right now with this team, knowing that, like you said, we probably have a good 3-year window after this year with JJ McCarthy on his rookie contract. Those are the type of players that you want now. You want impact players at premium positions, and Dexter Lawrence would fill that need. So would easily give up 2 first round picks for Dexter Lawrence, and no questions asked. If someone just said right now, you doing it, yes or no?
How would you do it for Jeffrey Simmons?
No, not
as obvious.
Not as much. No. I mean,
but a first round pick. Would you do 1 first round pick for him? Yeah.
Yep. I would do 1. The only other guy that might make me think 2 is Quinnen Williams from the Jets. If they decided to make that move, I don't think they would, but
they should. I mean, they're down bad. They don't. They're gonna have that's something that they just can't accept. But they are down bad. Dude. And it has to be a defensive interior corner. I feel like corner. We wait till free agency and spend money for a cornerback there, which we desperately need to happen. But we need to get a monster defensive tackle any way we can.
And going back to the starting and sitting, after I got done, this is actually kind of something I wanted to say. I don't care if you think he's not developed fully yet. I don't care if you think he's struggling in practice, whatever. If you're Flores and Kevin O'Connell, just put Dallas Turner out there on the field. Yeah. Just give him snaps. Let's just see what he can do. I mean, Pat Jones, the luster's kind of worn off. Yeah, he had a really good first few weeks, getting a couple of those sacks. He's cooled off considerably since then. Mm-hmm. Just say, I get it. Grenard, he's a pressure monster. Sure, the sack numbers aren't quite there yet, but he's getting to the quarterback. Van Ginkel's consistent as hell. But just give Dallas Turner a shit ton of snaps and let's just see what he can do. Like that, I'm at that point now. I'm tired of hearing, is he a bust? Is he not a bust? Why isn't he playing? Let's just put him out there. Let's see what happens.
Yeah,
because I trust he's going to develop nicely. Like you said during the game, it sucks seeing Jared Verse do what Jared Verse did. But Jared Verse is just a different type of Jared Verse is just a big man. He's a little bit older too.
And he's good. He's gonna. The reality is he's gonna be really good. Who knows? Maybe Dallas Turner can be as good as him. But there's no question that Jared Verse he's a stud. They got a stud.
Oh, absolutely. Because there's a lot of people that had him mocked to us at pick 11, right?
Right.
Because a lot of them had Dallas Turner.
And we traded.
And then Verse
we picked Dallas Turner before him too.
What's that?
We picked Dallas Turner before Verse got picked.
Yep. Because who was it? Latu was the first edge rusher off the board, I think. But yeah, exactly, Joey. Just put Turner out there at this point. Sink or swim. And that's the only way he's ever going to develop. So yeah, just put him out there.
At the end of the day, as far as outlook goes in general, I'm team. I think we're a good team. I think we're a playoff team. I think we're going to make playoffs. I'm not convinced we're a Super Bowl contender. As far as the trade deadline goes, I mean, if we go and beat the shit out of the Colts, I say, hey, go for it. If you can get a guy that's going to be here long term, but I do not have that feeling of doing whatever you can to go try to win a Super Bowl this year. I am definitely more concerned for the next years coming up more than I am this year, even though we started 5-0 and we're still 5-2. So that's kind of where I sit right now. But where you at, I guess, like, how do you feel about the Vikings moving forward? And then how strongly do you feel about buying at the trade deadline?
So I think this is a good team. I really do, like you said. But I think this needs to be a notion of all Vikings fans. Don't feel bad about saying you're a little bit concerned, right? I think the coaching needs to take a huge step forward. I think we need to see more consistency from the offense. I think we need to see Brian Flores' defense kind of get back to what it was doing earlier on in the season. So confident, yes. I think this is a good team. I do think this is a playoff caliber team, but until I see it turn around on the field, I'm going to keep being a little bit in the back of my mind concerned that maybe we're looking at another rendition of the 2016 Vikings. Hope it's not that way. I think this is a different team than we were in 2016 for obvious reasons. But I guess the 2 C's: confident, yet I'm concerned.
And I want to say, and
losing Darrisaw is absolutely,
and that's brutal no matter way you spin it. Yeah, that's going to hurt everything no matter what. And that's another reason why it's tough to be like, we got to make it our year. And just to Young Smokey's point, because this was our thought process, and I kind of still feel it going into this season, is we were thinking like the window opens next year. We gave ourselves 10 wins in our first schedule prediction before going into the season. And so we thought we were going to be a good team, but not like super good. I think we've already beat expectations as far as that goes. But the whole thing is like, at the end of the day, we wanted this team to be good. Like going into the season, there's people who had us, like Vegas had us 6.5 wins. There's fans who thought we should still tank for a pick or whatever. And I always had that feeling like we want to see that we have a really good team and do well, because we want to feel really good that when JJ McCarthy becomes a quarterback, like we're ready to go in his rookie window. And you can say that we can be more confident than ever with the way this team is moving forward after this year. There's a couple things we have to worry about on defense, but we are going into an offseason out of cap hell, actually have a lot of cap money, like top 5 or something like that. And then obviously we still have our first round pick. So things are looking up for the future for sure. And the fact that we're talking about whether or not we're Super Bowl contenders right now is a huge W.
And I think if there's anything else that I'm going to come.
By the way, Two-Tone, thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. For real.
If there's anything else I'm going to come away with out of this season, and yes, we can have all the concerns about his play calling and whatnot, but I feel like with what I've seen O'Connell do with Sam Darnold, I 1,000,000% think that this, like the reason that Kevin O'Connell was brought here was to eventually develop your quarterback of the future. I think we have the right guy for that job. Again, you can question his offensive, how he is as an offensive play caller, but from a head coaching perspective and a quarterback guru, quarterback whisperer, Kevin O'Connell is definitely the right man. And just like I said, seeing what I've seen from Darnold and hearing kind of what we've been hearing from behind the scenes about how McCarthy is basically being treated like a starting quarterback in the meeting room. He's on the sidelines with the headset on. He's calling the plays in their quarterback meetings. Like everything he's doing, they're prepping him to be the starting quarterback next season. And I honestly think we just bring back Nick Mullins and Brett Rypien next year. I don't think there's even a competition. I think that Kevin O'Connell announces basically as soon as he can that JJ McCarthy is the starting quarterback for the Vikings in 2025. And I have all the confidence in the world that Kevin O'Connell is going to develop him into a really, really good player. Cause I mean, as we talked about, he has all the intangible things, right? He has everything that we've wanted from our starting quarterback.
Right.
And now it's just all about developing to the pro game. And I think Kevin O'Connell is the right coach to do that.
Facts. 100%. And I do, like, regardless, like how Flores has played these last couple of weeks. Like the fact is we played really good offenses. I didn't want our defense to look like that, even against 2 of the best offenses in the NFL, but we did do that. And that's why I'm confident we're going to go and steamroll the shit out of the Colts. And I mean, and the Titans and Jacksonville, like they ain't going to fuck with us like that. A lot better than Jacksonville did against the Packers. So I think we're going to be good there. Darren, by the way, that's a good point. We are running Showtime into the ground.
Yeah.
We do need to get, I mean, he already has the most touches he's had at this point in his career in a season up to this point. So we do got to figure that out. And you see where McCarthy going to be wearing some special headset. Yeah, just everything you said. I think Kevin O'Connell, like the play calling does get boring at times, even though he started the season hot as hell. I don't know, some things to figure out here. Hopefully we get TJ Hawkinson back and see things turn around there overall. But I think we're still good. I in my head, if we leave this season right now, and if we make playoffs, that's pretty big at this point. It's like you have to make playoffs, but if we can go into playoffs and win a game there or a game or two, that would be a huge boost moving forward. This isn't like a Super Bowl or bust year at all. We're already beating most expectations, and it's just huge positive that we're looking the way we are before we even were supposed to. So that's huge to that. All of those things. So I don't know. I'm still feeling it, man. I still think we're a good team. Do I think this is our year to win a Super Bowl? I'm definitely not convinced by that. But if there is some trades you could make at the deadline to probably make that actually possible.
For sure. I heard the Pats are open for business. What would you think of going after Ramondre Stevenson?
Getting cheap for depth.
I wouldn't hate it. I mean, it's weird to think that the Pats would be open for business, though, considering they just drafted their quarterback of the future with the number 3 overall pick. Yeah, we could bring in Stevenson. I'd be ecstatic about that. I
want to see what Akers can do.
Yeah, because it's much.
I mean, we could probably get Stevenson for pretty cheap, but
yeah, because I assume Stevenson's still on a rookie contract, right? I would guess.
I would say I'm very worried about wasting anything because Stevenson, if we got him, I don't care that much because I want to get a rookie. I want to get a rookie running back if we can.
There's a couple good ones. I mean, I don't think we're getting the Boise State kid, but there's a Tennessee, the Sampson from Tennessee. Yeah, I watched a couple games of his. He looks pretty good. Not a big pass catcher, but hell of a runner.
So I'm reluctant to go and use any draft picks to go grab someone that's going to be like a rental for this year because I'm still, even though it's been a good year, I'm more concerned about the next 3 to 4 years after this year. Absolutely.
And because like we said, coming into anything we do this year that's good is just going to be, it's just bonus. It's just making you feel better about the structure we have for JJ McCarthy going into the next season, which unfortunately probably will start without Christian Darrisaw. But
yeah, I know
I think he got hurt early enough into the season where he won't miss too much. Yeah.
And that's the thing too. Like you don't go and trade for, like I know people are saying trade for a tackle or something. I mean, maybe if it was, I don't know. I think you're not doing that this year. It is what it is. And that could be just enough to not really make a huge move unless it was that. It kind of does put us in a situation where it's like, if you're going to make a move, you're making one that's going to be a long-term move and not just a 1-year rental type of situation here. But I do think that's a big reason why Kwesi is like, it's the rumors out there that he's waiting to see how these these last 2 games plus this one go. Because I think that's the thing. If we lose this game, or even if we win, I don't think it's going to be all in this year, but I do think he's going to be more. I think he's going to be more for giving up more draft capital if he thinks we can win this year and have the guy for years to come as well. So yeah, I think it all comes down to kind of what happens against the Colts on Sunday. And we'll probably talk more about this on Thursday. We were going to talk about the Colts game a little bit, but we're kind of running out of time. Obviously, Thursday is our pregame show anyways. Obviously, like I said, for my birthday, we're giving away the GG Sports Podcast hat. Get the hashtag Skols in the comments, like the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. We're about to give this away. All that good stuff. Y'all know you got to be here.
If you don't win the hat, we are selling them for $30. Just reach out to us. Let us know if you want one.
Facts. Let me get that up. Ooh, hey,
from our boy Joey.
Let's go, dude. Joey with the 20, dude. Appreciate you, bro. Dude. I'm just glad you're back, man. It's been a while. We've been missing you, dude. Pretty much every show, I'm like, man, where's Joey? Where's Joey? Just waiting for you, bro. Waiting for you. So I'm happy you're back in here.
You been out on the road performing or what? The dream.
The dream. Let me get this thing up. We're doing things a little bit different here now, Joey. LOL, I'm back. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. All right. So obviously, anybody that we do the duck races. So we pick 5 names here. Joey, you haven't seen it yet, but we pick 5 names here. Hey, what up, Suri? Addison and Turner for Lawrence. I mean, you probably do that. Maybe I don't know. It's too early. It's too early for that, Swerve. You can't be. That's too hard of a question. That's too hard a question.
Oops,
there we go. Yeah. Anyway, so we pick 5 names. All these names get added to the duck race. All that good stuff. Let's start this right away here. 3, 2, 1. First name is 12 entries. Got a good chance here. Got to be here to win too. And this is for the Dan Henneman. Dan, I don't know.
Absolutely, Darren. That's
It's Tennessee Will the Thrill. And that's one thing is Will Reichert is literally like the greatest kicker of all time already.
And he has to be because our offense stalls so many damn times.
I know. I feel bad that we can't put him in a position to like go win a game for us.
Right, exactly. No.
Dan, you're here. Barber is here. Dan, let us know. I'm gonna keep rolling here though. Actually, let me do this. But got to be here to make it to this round. Y'all know the rules. All right, let's keep on going. Oh, I saw my name twice. Never lucky. We got to get you, Smokey. All right, let's keep on going. I'm like losing. There we go. Boom. All right. I don't think we saw Dan yet.
We have not seen Dan yet. Nope.
And we got Young Smokey again twice. Barber.
He is here. He told us beforehand. He's here.
I believe he's here. All right, let's keep it going. Where's my mouse? Oh, there it is. Boom. Let's keep on going. Let's keep on going. We got Barber. Dan, if you say anything, let us know. Boom. 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 Hey, Joey coming in and getting a spot. We'll go with Skol Shred. All right, let's keep her going. Who we got? Gotta be here to make it to the next round. Y'all know the rules. And we've got, boom, Two-Toned. Two-Toned, I believe you're here. I'll put your name down, but you're always here. I can't keep losing my mouse. All right, there we go. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going.
Two-Toned is here. We're good there.
And it is, boom. Too Evil. He always gets on these too. Too Evil. You're here, right?
Too Evil always asks us for a hat. Now he might finally get one.
Even though he wants the ones on our head.
Yeah.
Hey,
how's he ever gonna know?
Too Evil. He's right there. All right, we got one more spot. Who's it going to? You know what? I'm gonna make a change to our rules here after this because Skol Mafia, you still here? Yeah, you are. I'm going to make one change of rules. I'm sorry, guys, but our guy Smokey came in here and threw us like $70. I feel like he deserves a spot. We just got to do it. I got to do it, man.
You know what's funny? I think everybody, now that he's in, Skol Shred, Two-Toned, Mafia. A lot of these people did didn't Too Evil as well?
What's that?
Did everybody who's in drop a dono tonight? I think they did, didn't they?
I think they did.
I'm pretty sure.
That's actually crazy. That's fair. All right. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got to do it. I mean, he hooked it up, man. I appreciate you. We'll make change. There's sometimes you got to make some changes here.
Just give him a hat. That is true.
Let's get the 45 seconds in here. We're setting this. We got all 6 in there. Only lucky because Jamie felt sorry for me. I'll take it. I did. I felt a little sorry. But hey, dude, are you kidding me? Like, I shouldn't even feel sorry. Whatever. You're in here. That's all that matters. Just pass my name. Dude, I saw your name like 4 times in there. It's crazy. All right, so what are we thinking? How many shuffles are we going to do for this?
Free 3.
What's that? Free 3?
Free 3.
1. Well, that's a good one. 2, 3. who is kind of boring. There is a purple duck. It's Barber. Purple duck is the lucky duck. What do you think?
Make it
Should we
4.
do 3 more for 6 and 2?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right.
I like it.
All right. I want your twin Pat. 2, 3. All right. There we go. We got a little bit of everything in here. King duck, Rudolph duck, Liberty duck, Heart duck, Green duck, Construction duck. My duck got a top hat. Let's go. All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. For the GG Sports Podcast hat. Let's go. Whoever comes in first wins. And we have in the lead, we got 2 evil Heart duck. Smokey. Smokey's actually in the lead now. Green duck. Two-tone hanging out in the back. Barber hanging out in the back. Barber did win recently, coming from hitting off the back and starting in the beginning, and then still ended up winning, something we don't see a lot. Skol Mafia's, they're all making a run. They're all coming up close to each other. Skol Mafia's coming back. He's trying to bounce off that wall.
I caught some lag on my end here.
My duck is green like my weed. 10 seconds. Skol Mafia's bouncing off the back.
Hard.
Skol Mafia's coming to take this. He's coming to take this.
He's kind of been hanging out in the lead.
He's hanging, but Skol Mafia grabs it. Skol Mafia. My guy. Let's go. Skol Mafia, you there? Fat and slow story of my life. I feel it. I feel it.
Give mine to Barber.
Hey. Dang, let's go, Skol Mafia. To my boy Barber here. Let's go. I know Skol Mafia's got a hat already. I appreciate that, dude. Facts. That was it, man. Anything else you got, Casey?
No, I mean, beat the Colts, I guess. And obviously, like you said, we'll do some. We'll talk quite a bit about that on Thursday as well. You know what, Smokey? I think even after YouTube's tax, I'm pretty sure that the super chats are going to end up being a little bit more than $30 no matter what. So hit us up. We'll get you a hat as well for sure. I mean, I think the super chats basically end up being a little bit more. So we really appreciate it. So yeah, hit us up, email, social media. However you want to do that. We'll be sure to get one.
Yeah, Smokey, hit us up on our email right here. We got you, bro. We got you. You appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate you hopping in and doing that. You know, I'm getting older here. Sucks.
Who knows how many streams you got left?
Yeah, exactly. Who knows? I might not make it here on Thursday.
But hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We will, as we mentioned, we will be here on Thursday, 6 p.m. Central Time to break down the Colts game. Everybody that joined, everybody that super chatted tonight, we appreciate you. Everybody that just joined for a good time and hung out with us, we appreciate you guys as well. And we'll see you guys Thursday to talk Vikings Colts.
Let's go. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we got you, bro. Hit us. Yeah, hit that email, and then just give me a good address to send it to, all that good stuff, dude. But we appreciate you all in here. And Joey, I'm happy we love everybody in here, but happy to see Joey back. It's been a minute, man. He was always in here every single week. So I'm glad to see him back too. We got a good season again, not just a good season, a rest of the good season ahead of us, but just good Vikings football for the next 5 years. So we're in that. I seriously think we're in the prime time of Vikings football. And I think it's going to be the best stretch in Vikings history. So, hey, let's get it. But hey, thanks everybody for coming in here. Skol Vikes.